Hey guys, welcome to Book Review 156. Today I am going to be reviewing Kyoto City of Zen by Judith Clancy, photographed by Ben Simmons. Okay, so this book is a sort of cityscape look of the city of Tokyo, and the way it kind of breaks the city down is into the various World Heritage sites and temples that are very prevalent in the city, being one of the highest concentrations of Zen temples, as well as just Buddhist and Shinto temples in the whole country. There's also a more limited number of, say, like shopping districts or other um, things of interest within Kyoto, but the primary focus is within the World Heritage sites and the temples. So the book is broken down into four sections, or four quadrants of the city, if you will. Central and Eastern Kyoto, that's one quadrant. Northern Kyoto, Western Kyoto, and Southern Kyoto. Now, Central and Eastern Kyoto is where the imperial palaces are. It's where a lot of the largest shrines within the city are. It's where the imperial family, when they are not in Tokyo, because the imperial palace moved to Kyoto during the Edo um, time frame, reign. But when they come back to Kyoto, they stay in the imperial palace. Um, Northern Tokyo is kind of like the suburbs, if you will. It's kind of the bedroom communities where a lot of, even today, but back in the shogunate era when Kyoto was the imperial capital, which it was between the Nara period and when the capital moved to Edo, which I believe roughly was maybe 1200 to 1850, something like that. I might have those time frames a little off, but I think that's about right. But anyway, yeah, there's a bedroom community, so there's a lot of kind of interesting sites up on there. A lot of very beautiful but smaller temples, I guess you'd say. Um, let's see if I can find a good example. Let's see. I should show you some pictures of what's going on in this area. See, this is downtown Kyoto. Um, yeah, and so it's essentially like the bedroom communities, kind of the early districts, the Imperial District. You see a lot more of this, which is like the business shops that you get around downtown, any sort of downtown ever. But being Kyoto, it's very beautiful. That's outside of the Imperial Palace areas of downtown. Here we go, Northern Kyoto. Heritage sites of Northern Kyoto. See, it's really quite beautiful. I can't find like a good picture of a really blowing away temple. Part of it is that Kyoto temples tend to be not bombastic like Taoist temples are, where it really overwhelms the senses, but it's actually made for, like, there's a Zen rock garden. Is made for reflection and sort of to reflect the minimalist style that monks live at, and really a place for reflection. Okay, so that moves us into Western Kyoto. Western Kyoto also is sort of a bedroom community and also has a lot of temples, but what it's also known for is sort of its artisan district. To show you a couple of, I gotta show this temple, the Kin Kyatu-ji Temple. This is the Golden Lake Temple, as you can see right there. Man, that is beautiful. Just reflecting right on the lake, right like that. And in a lot of these sections, they give like histories of how these temples came into being, and the various proprietors that bought and paid for them. A lot of them have kind of some, pretty interesting backstories. Nanji Temple. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but oh yeah, this is like a river area that is in. I think we're still in Western Kyoto. Um, Train rides that go up there. There we go, Southern Kyoto. That's one of the more famous sites in Kyoto. It's all of these have a torii gate, which tend to be the kind of entrance mark into the grounds that the temple is on. If you know anything about Japan, you probably know what a torii gate is, but this is very famous for having torii gate after torii gate after torii gate. It's quite fascinating. More Zen rock gardens, stuff like that. Southern Kyoto kind of developed. It's the one that's kind of most directly connected to the river that flowed into the inland sea, and or actually the inland sea, its water flowed out into this river and then eventually flowed down to like Osaka and the trading areas. So there's a lot of sort of wealth built by trading areas. This is one of the earliest temples. Notice that there's not really a lot of rock gardens, but it's made to be very, which were kind of a little bit later development, but it's still very sort of reflective and green. There's a lot of mosses that are highly involved in many of these sites. There's a lot of sort of play with the leaves and very manicured garden feel. And also just sort of, in the West, we kind of tend to like flat lawns that maybe have like some lawn ornaments or whatever. But the architecture and the landscaping tends to be much more molded to the surrounding environment in order to create a sort of harmony, if you will, rather than conquering nature. That is a really cool temple. I think that's along the river that I was talking about earlier, maybe. What's really cool is that the temple is very small, but it has these huge pavilions that are off on the side. That's the Byodin Temple. I'm sure I'm mangling that. Oh yeah, and that's the end of the book. So yeah, if you want to, there's a really good picture of what you'd see on a lawn. It's not made for playing checkers. It's made for reflecting on sort of these basic sort of elemental things that went on. But anyway, if you're traveling to Kyoto, I would highly suggest this book. It doesn't give any like personal accounts. It's definitely like a cityscape. The author, other than the biography page on the very last page of the book, doesn't really tell you anything about them. But you get a really good feel for what Kyoto is like. And maybe not a perspective that you would get from a guidebook, because this book is really more written, not just what to do, but kind of gets into, I want to say like history, or just a little bit more of the kind of nuts and bolts of these temples compared to like a guidebook that would just give you kind of like, oh, this temple is X, so let me find one more good picture. Oh yeah, I guess that one's pretty good. Oh yeah, they talk a lot about tea ceremonies and here too, and most of these temples have rooms within them. They have those sliding rice paper doors and a sunken hearth where there's a very elaborate but also very graceful tea ceremony. So I'll just leave you with this final picture of kind of a compilation, this one, but also up here, of Kyoto's amazing architecture. All right, check out my book reviews, guys. All right, bye.